The 2014 season was an interesting one for the Vipers. We started off by winning a shootout against the Seahawks 45-34 before going on a 3-game losing streak. And after Sunday night against a winless Bears team at the time, things were not looking great. We were able to bounce back against Seattle, beat New York, and then defeat one of the worst teams in the league in the Cardinals before beating the Redskins in a playoff rematch, playing the Cardinals again, and then having a bye week. So now we're on a pretty hot streak. We beat the Eagles in a close one, beat down on Oakland, beat San Francisco in overtime before getting upset by the Chiefs. That was a terrible game for us, but we were able to bounce back on Sunday night with Ray Dawkins, 4 touchdowns against Dallas, beat San Francisco in overtime again, but we did finish out the season in a loss against a not great Chargers team, though, which was less than ideal. Ray Dawkins once again had to play in that game, but Cross will be healthy now for the postseason. Taking a look at the rest of the league, Pittsburgh got a quarterback first overall. They traded up to get Alan Thomas, and he has been superb, reminding me a lot of Big Ben's rookie year when Pittsburgh was crazy good with him. Cleveland grabbed themselves a wild card spot at 10-6. Ravens and Bengals, 2 of the worst teams in football. The Ravens ended off the season on a hot streak. Indianapolis was playing really good. They were like 9-2 at one point. They kind of did fall off. The defending Super Bowl champions will not make the postseason. Tennessee goes 7-9. Jacksonville 6-10. The Michael Vick experiment has not gone well there. New England has had a great time with the Tom Brady successor, Alex Malone. The Jets are making the playoffs with the former MVP, now Philip Rivers. Buffalo with a losing record. Same with Miami. Denver was doing really good until Andrew Hester got hurt late in the season, and he's still going to be missing the postseason. He might be back if they're able to make it to the Super Bowl. Everyone else in this division had a losing record. Green Bay was barely able to take the division in the last week against Chicago. Both teams go 11-5. Lions were good at the beginning of the season. They did kind of fall off at the end. And the Vikings fighting for that first overall pick right now. Atlanta's going to win the South. Tampa Bay, similar to the Lions, started off the season so well, but they barely missed out on the playoffs. The Saints ended the season very well after starting awful, and the Panthers go 5-11 after their quarterback has another injury-filled season. Dallas goes 11-5, and everyone else goes 8-8, kind of tight, but also not really in the East. And then finally in the West, we win the division. Seattle, they won it last year. They're going to be making a wild card spot. The Niners had their best season in this entire series, finishing at 8-8, and Arizona going 3-13. So this is going to be how the playoffs are going to be shaking out when it comes to seedings. You got Pittsburgh, New England, Denver, New York, Indianapolis, and Cleveland. Houston, a team that barely missed out. And then in the NFC, we are the 1 seed. You have 4 11-5 teams, though it could have gone to any of these teams, really. It almost went to the Bears because obviously they have the tiebreaker over us, but because of Green Bay winning the division, they moved down to the 5 seed instead of the 1. Things were crazy tight in the NFC. 1 game difference between all of these teams, really. Either 10 or 11 wins. You could say it might be weaker because all the best teams were 11-5, but it's also much tighter. Orlando Cross had the best quarterback rating in the league. Eli Manning behind him. You got Alex Malone, Philip Rivers, and Aaron Rodgers. Cross also, despite being injured twice this season at least, still leads the league in passing yards by over 300 yards. Philip Rivers in second, Parrish Walker, Big Ben, and Benji Barton. Cross also leads the league in touchdowns. I think we know who the MVP is going to be this season. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Philip Rivers, Parrish Walker, Brock Flowers, Alex Malone. Interceptions, Michael Vick only threw 4, but he was also injured a lot throughout the year. When it comes to the most, Jamar Alexander, back-to-back seasons where he does that. I thought he was turning his career around in Detroit, but looking at those last 2 years, I don't think so. Harry Quick with 22 picks. That's not a good look for the second-year quarterback. Omar McGuire with 21. Couple guys there with 20. A bunch of interceptions were thrown this year. Lawrence Maroney, his first year in Dallas, almost 2,000 yards. Jerome Jefferson, Bruce Mills, Robert Fernandez, and Ivan Phillips. That rounds out the top 5 in rushing yards. Maroney also leads the league in rushing touchdowns. A lot of those same names when it comes to that as well. And yards per carry, our former guy, Cadillac Williams, 4.7. So maybe we let him go a little bit too early, but I guess better let him go too early than a year too late. Mark Clayton leads the league in receptions, but when it comes to yards, it's our boy Charles Phillips, 1,600 yards, having the best year of his career. He also had 16 receiving touchdowns, Glenn Hughes with 12, and then our boy Fitzgerald there tied for second place in receiving touchdowns. We had the best wide receiver duo in all of football. Tariq Glenn leads the league in pancakes, but Miami's rookie right tackle gave up the most sacks. 170 tackles for Nick Barnett, really the lone bright spot for Oakland this year. Quaim Holt with 8 TFLs, 19 sacks for this Miami defensive end. Dante Lyons, I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be completely wrong. Just kind of breaking out of nowhere and getting 19 sacks, leading the league. And then Matt Roth also just coming out of nowhere to get 18 sacks on the year. Bryce Fisher with 17. You got a couple guys there with 15. And then Dexter Murphy, 7 interceptions for him. You have 2 guys here with 6. You got a couple guys here with 5, including our very own Darren Gordon. And you got a handful of guys also with multiple defensive touchdowns. As we saw, Cross, best quarterback in the league, really all around the board. He was under 60% this year, though, which was less than ideal. He definitely had his struggles early on in the year. Dejon Beasley and Ray Dawkins are backup quarterbacks. Dawkins, I compared him to Fitzpatrick in the last video, and I feel like that's pretty true. His highs are high, but his lows are low. He had some really good games, and he also threw 10 interceptions to go with those 10 touchdowns he had, although he did have a fourth quarter comeback. And then our running game, easily our biggest weakness, definitely something I'm going to be looking to upgrade this year. Greg Riddle with 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Figgins, 304. Cross had 300 yards and 1 touchdown. Flowers is not good. I had high hopes for him. He's not been very good. Will Tillman, just over 100 yards for him. Ron White, I like that we got him involved, but I feel like he could get even more involved in the game plan there. But running game, definitely the biggest weakness on this team. But receivers are not, as we saw. Fitzgerald and Phillips, 2 of the best wide receivers in all of football. Vaughan Lewis had 5 touchdowns and nearly 500 yards. Kirk Figgins, not a bunch of yards, but he did have 6 receiving touchdowns. And then Jamarcus Ward, 500 yards on just 18 receptions, 27 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns. You love to see it. Offensive line played okay. Joseph Santiago did give up 10 sacks, though. Cross was sacked, I think, over 40 times this year, which is less than ideal. John Kelly leads the defense in tackles, as we saw. Holt with 8 TFLs. Daryl Fannin with 7. He did not get as many sacks as I thought he would this year, but Bernard Bailey with 13. Baron Cleveland with 12. Maybe they're just double teaming Fannin and whatnot. That's why he's not as good as he was in previous seasons. But either way, we're still doing a good job getting to the quarterback this year. Jesse Baker, easily biggest disappointment of the season. Signed him in free agency to a huge deal, and he only got 1 sack and got hurt in that last game that he played. He was out for like 5 games. He'll be back for the playoffs. Darren Gordon with 5 interceptions. Asante Samuel with 4, but he's also definitely not as good as they used to be. Randall Slater with 2, and then you got a handful of guys there with 1, or actually only 2 guys there with 1 each. Forced fumbles, Asante Samuel forced 3, as did John Kelly, and we recovered a decent amount of them, and we got ourselves a total of 4 defensive touchdowns on the season. John Hall only attempted 15 field goals this year. He hit 12 of them. We're used to him being pretty perfect, but he's also getting up there in age and whatnot. Rodney Williams, always a solid punter. Kick return and punt return was nothing too special. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I thought for sure the MVP was going to go to Cross, but somehow Vince Young takes it away from him. 3,000 passing yards, which is the most he's ever had in a season. Good for him. 20 touchdowns, which is also a career high for him. And 13 interceptions. You know, that's an okay passing season. What did he do on the ground? 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns. You know what? That's fair. I do like seeing these awards getting spread out and whatnot, but I thought for sure Cross was going to take it home. Lawrence Maroney comes in 3rd. Our boy Phillips in 4th. Jerome Jefferson is 5th. Offensive Player of the Year also going to Vince Young. Basically, it's the exact same list, just in a slightly different order. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Reggie Tober of the New York Giants. Jets linebacker, he was 2nd. Rick Claiborne, Cato June, and Howard Pruitt. Bruce Mills, despite Arizona being awful this year, he wins Offensive Rookie of the Year with 1,500 yards. Benji Barton in second. Then you got Allen Thomas, Thurman King, and Beal. Stills winning Defensive Rookie of the Year for Miami. Detroit with a guy up there. Indianapolis. KC Farr on Tennessee. Craig Jackson in Jacksonville. Cross will win the Best Quarterback Award for whatever reason. They didn't even put Vince Young in this category. I don't know why. Maybe he got put in Best Running Back. Nope, doesn't look like it. But Lawrence Maroney, he easily deserves that award. Charles Phillips, as we all know, wins MVP. Not MVP, no, that'd be crazy. Best wide receiver with Fitzgerald right behind him. Then you got Steve Smith, Lee Evans, and Mark Clayton. We got 3 Vipers when it comes to the Best Offensive Lineman Award, with Tariq Glenn winning it yet again. How many times has he won that for us? He won it in 2009, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. This man is a cheat code at left tackle, but he very well could retire after this season. Defensive lineman Will Smith will win it for Pittsburgh. Reggie Tober wins Best Linebacker. That makes sense. Rick Claiborne, Best DB, with a couple of Miami safeties right behind him there. That's interesting. And then Best Kicker goes to David Akers. Best Coach goes to Rex Ryan of the Patriots. Orlando Cross will make the Pro Bowl, though. How does the MVP not make the Pro Bowl? Man, I'm confused by this Vince Young MVP here, but John Owens made it as well. Chicago took a quarterback in the first round last year that looks like he's going to be pretty good. Looks like they wanted to move on from John Owens, but he put together a pretty solid season for them. Obviously, Phillips and Fitzgerald are both going to be making the Pro Bowl. Phillips making his first Pro Bowl ever, actually, if you take a look at this. No Pro Bowl selections, despite winning wide receiver of the year before and offensive rookie of the year. He did not make the Pro Bowl in either of those seasons. We got, of course, a bunch of our offensive linemen are going to be making the Pro Bowl. We saw how they ranked Chris Diamond there as well. Bernard Bailey with his 13 sacks is there. Asante Samuel makes the Pro Bowl despite having an up and down year. Darren Gordon, the rookie, makes it as well. And that's it for Vipers in the Pro Bowl. So wild card weekend, we got a bye, so let's take a look at what went down. Denver falls 17-3 to Cleveland. They were on like a 5-game losing streak now, something like that. And they definitely are missing their quarterback. J.J. Owens with 100 yards there, but Denver only able to put up 3 in the playoffs. And the reigning MVP can't even defeat his former team in the wild card round. They fall to Dallas by 3 in overtime. Vince Young, not even 100 yards passing, only 51 rushing yards. I don't know if he deserved it, man. Lawrence Maroney with over 100 yards, though. Glenn Hughes with over 100 yards receiving. And Nate Burleson with the Seattle touchdown. John Wade, $126. The Colts are going to defeat the Jets. The Jets did get a pick 6 on Big Ben, but he connects with Anquan Bolden, and then Ronnie Hamilton gives them the lead with under 40 seconds left in the game. It was a pretty defensive battle. 5 total interceptions were thrown. Derek Jean fumbled the football. It looks like Reggie Bush was only held to 10 yards on 4 carries before getting hurt. He did have a touchdown, though, and Anquan Bolden almost 100 yards and that touchdown. And then a really close game here to round it out. Chicago was up 20-0 going into the fourth quarter. And then the Falcons of all teams come back 21 straight points in the fourth quarter. The Chicago quarterbacks did not play great, although neither did Drew Brees. I mean, look at what they did, though, to round out the game. Drew Brees throws a touchdown with 11 minutes left in the game. Cedric Benson runs for a touchdown with 3 minutes. And then with 33 seconds left, Ray Glenn with an 87-yard touchdown. Cedric Benson, 95 total yards on the game. And Atlanta's moving on to the divisional round. And that's exactly who we are going to be taking on next week. These teams have faced each other plenty of times in the postseason, and this is going to be another one for the ages. You're also going to have Pittsburgh facing off against Cleveland, the Colts at the Patriots, an old rivalry there as well, and the Packers and the Cowboys. This looks like it's going to be a really good round of divisional games. You're not going to want to miss it. Tune in next time to see the Falcons take on the Vipers and see the results of these the rest of these playoff games. But that will do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, leaving a like is always very much appreciated. And until next time, this has been Jeffrey reminding you to stay moist.